Oh, hey man, how you doing? Welcome back to the Voskcoin YouTube channel, and that was a cheesy intro. But today's video is all about creating a Loki service node, which if you checked one of my most recent videos about the top 3 ways I earn passive income in cryptocurrencies, this has been one of the most lucrative endeavors of 2018 for me, minus the bull run stuff in the beginning of the year. But seriously, it's been a good play. I'm not here to shill it. I'm not here to recommend it, but I am here today to show you exactly how to do it yourself if you're interested in doing so. I'm going to run you through a quick background if you're unfamiliar with Loki. It's basically a code fork of Monero, so it's using that privacy tech, and they're looking to build their own version, improved version of Tor and a host of other things. They're also going to be a platform and have potential currencies built on top of them, so it's interesting nonetheless. But again, not here to shill it. It's up to you if you want to check it out. And today is going to be all about their service node, which is their version of a Masternode. And if you're unfamiliar, 50% of the Loki block reward goes to their service nodes, so it can be pretty lucrative because there's still not that many service nodes on their network. I'm going to be doing everything with a virtual server we're going to rent, and no, I don't want some ads, but if you want to run your own hardware, something like an Intel NUC is going to be more than adequate to run a service node on the Loki network. Before I jump into this service node tutorial, let's talk some quick numbers. Well, right now, as I'm shooting this video, the block height for Loki is 131,640, and the number of service nodes running on the network is 288. The current requirement to stake a service node is 39,749, so about 40,000 Loki. What's interesting about Loki is that they utilize a dynamic staking system, which is a really fancy way to say that as time goes on, you will need less and less Loki to stake a service node, so they'll gradually increase the amount of nodes on their network as well as decrease the barrier to entry, assuming that Loki continues to go up in price. Regardless, the amount Loki needed to stake a service node will continue to decrease. The block reward for a service node with this current 288 number is going to be 28.23 Loki, which means that your daily reward on average will be 65.575 Loki. So what that means that there's been a total contributed of 12 million Loki, and over 40% of the circulating supply of these coins. So of all the coins that can be bought, sold, anything that are out there in the wild so far, 40% of them are in service nodes locked up, which is pretty freaking wild. Okay, just think about that. Basically, if you want to get into nodes but this task seems too daunting for you, linking up with an operation like Mining Store is going to be the right thing for you. They also have a Discord server, but some people joined last time. You do have to pay to get into their more advanced sections, and that's more for like some trading advice and stuff they offer. Again, I'm not showing all that stuff. I'm just saying that they do offer this service, and they're good, legitimate guys, and they're hosting over 20 Loki service nodes, to my understanding, on the network. So let's jump right into it. This is their official guide off of the Loki project GitHub, which is their official GitHub, and so this is gonna have a full guide setting up a service node start to finish. It's actually a really good, simple guide, and setting up a Loki service node is much less complex than some other nodes I've messed with, which is nice. It's nice. It's gonna get more complex as time goes on, but that's just kind of with any software as they continue to develop it and build upon it. But here are the basics. So we're gonna be running Linux, kind of obvious there. We're gonna be running Ubuntu 16.04, and you're gonna need 30 to 50 gigabytes of memory and 2 to 4 gigs of RAM. So step one is you're gonna need a server. I really recommend reading through just their overview right here, but we're gonna skip through that in the timeliness of a YouTube video here. So this is I really like DigitalOcean. It's not just because they have a referral program, so click your boy's link if this guide helped you. It's gonna be in the video description. But I really like DigitalOcean because it is a little bit more expensive, but when the node's lucrative and it makes sense, I'm always using a DigitalOcean VPS, because if you just watch me navigate through this site, it's an absolute breeze. It's so fluid. I never have any problems, and you can go with some cheaper alternatives, but for me personally, I really enjoy DigitalOcean, so that's why I'm sticking to them. And no, they didn't pay me for the shill in the video. I just like them, man. If you want to use a different server, do it. Go ahead. And just to clarify again, Ubuntu 16.04, and we're going to 64-bit operating system. We're going to click bubble number 2, and we're going to be looking for 2 GB 2 CPU with 60 gigabytes SSD. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and down here I can choose the region I want to be in. So I'm just going to go ahead and operate out of New York number 3 because that's where my other servers are at, and if I'm having a really bad day, I want to have a really bad day of these things going offline. For a Loki node, you're not going to need any of these other options. I am going to add my SSH key, so it just makes it easier for me to SSH into it. If you're unfamiliar what SSH is or how to set up your SSH key, I will have a link at the top of the video description illustrating how to do that to shorten down this tutorial for everyone who knows. All right, that's the one thing I really like about DigitalOcean is you can add an SSH key here and integrate it into your server. It just makes your life easier to get in and out, as well as seamlessly enhancing your security. Then I'll just go ahead and scroll down a little bit, and I'll just call this Loki service node.nyc.03.2 because it'll be my second one set up out of there. And you guessed it, then we're just going to click create. And you'll see it's real cool. It gets populated very fast. So it was added to my user group right there, Voskcoin, and you'll see it'll go through this and it'll populate pretty quickly. See, I didn't even have to cut the video. We already done. Then you just go ahead and click this. It'll automatically copy it. I'm gonna go SSH root at IP address copied. I'm going to enter my passphrase to activate my RSA key here, which this was enabled because of that setting we selected on the server. Click enter and we're in, just like that. If it's your first time, I actually just did this to make sure I knew what I was talking about, but you're going to have to just click like, yeah, I want to add this to my keychain basically. So now that we're into the server, we can kind of skip through this on the guide. I'm doing this out of a Mac terminal, but the process is going to be essentially the same, you know, for every VPS setup. You can use PuTTY. That's very, very popular for Windows. But everyone on a Mac is going to use, you know, terminal or additional software. These are a couple good quick tips if you are unfamiliar with stuff like this. So don't try copying with Control-C. If you want to copy something, do so by highlighting the text and then right-clicking it. If you want to kill a process or stop something from running, press Control-C, which is why you don't use it to go ahead and copy things. You can check the directory you're in, which will make more sense as we go along, by ls. You can return to your home directory using CD, and I'll elaborate on what we need to do kind of as we go along here. But step one is you don't want to operate out of root, which is a standard user. You want to create your own username, which will be, you know, under the hierarchy in root. So we're going to go ahead in here and sudo add user and then put in your username. I'll just do Vosk. Then you'll click enter and you'll have to enter a password. Once you type your password twice, you'll get to enter some of this information, which you don't need to do. Just slap enter and go through there. Then we're going to add some permissions to the user we just created, basically making it the equivalent of like a Windows administrator. So we're going to go sudo usermod-a capital G. In Linux, if you're unfamiliar, capitals really do matter when you're running pretty much anything, so always pay attention to those. And then make sure you use your username. So for me, it's Vosk here. For you, it's whatever username you used. And so when you don't see anything in Linux, that's like it worked. It's good news. It's a little weird at first, but so the fact that nothing popped up, it means we did it right, probably. So now let's test if it works. We're gonna su Vosk, and that's going to put us into that user. You see I'm in the root folder, so I'm just gonna hit CD, take me back to the home menu. Now this is another standard thing you're going to have to do when setting up a Linux server. We're going to go ahead and run sudo apt get update, which is going to check for updates. When you haven't run sudo in a while, you have to put your password in. Click enter and you can see it's going to run through here and see everything that's out of date with your server. Just give it a second. You can see the whole time I was talking that was completed. So then I'm going to go sudo apt get upgrade, which is basically going to actually install these updates. It'll prompt you. I mean, obviously you're going to say Y for yeah, and then we'll be good to go. If you're prompted any time that a version of any file is available, then click the up arrows until you're hovering over install the package maintainer's version. Look at that. Who would have thought that that's what was going to happen? So we're going to go ahead and listen to the guide, and we'll click enter on that. Now our server's set up, and not running in root. So now we can actually get to the server. There's some more in-depth things you can do with your server, like firewalls, which I really, like most people would obviously recommend, but today I'm not going to cover that. I'm going to keep this video kind of short, sweet, to the point, and simple as I can. So I'll have this guide linked in the video description below, obviously, and the best thing to do is really just to copy this stuff. So I can just copy that, enter, and I can get error 404 not found. That's good. It's good. Well, screw me, right? So right below it, it says if this link no longer works, you can go ahead and get it from over here. So, you know, this is a good learning experience for me, you, and Tails, if she didn't already clock out on me. Unbelievable. You know, we're pulling a double shift here today at Voskcoin, and she went ahead and clocked out on me. So I'm going to go ahead and copy link location and go back over here. So we're running wget, and that's pretty much it. So we'll go ahead and put in wget and put in that URL, and this should fetch it for us. And as you can see right there, it fetched it for us. And please don't reach out to me. Don't get the wrong impression. I'm not an expert or like anywhere impressive when it comes to Linux. So, you know, I just do my best to learn and just kind of stumble through it. So, kind of on that note, make sure to believe in yourself, because if I can do this, you can do it. We're gonna go ahead and install unzip, because Linux is like very bare bones, so it doesn't come with a lot of things like that. So you can see we now have unzip. Then we're next going to we're gonna unzip that file, but you can see that's the 103 version. So I'm gonna change that to 104 and hope that it works. Let's find out. We got lucky, man. Tonight might be a good night for once. Looks like that worked. So I'm sure that maybe they'll even have this updated by the time you see this video. Maybe they won't. But if they don't, you know what to do. Or if this happens again, you know, 1.05, here you're already ready. So we can check to see if they're unzipped by typing ls. So you can see I ran ls and it showed the folder. But just to double check, I went ahead and entered the folder and then ran ls to see if it did unzip properly. So once I went in there and I ran ls, you can see that right here, you know, I've got the 8 files that I need, and now it denotes that I'm in this directory. So if I wanted to go back up to home, I would type cd, but I'm actually going to, I guess it says it right there, but I'm actually just going to stay in here because I'm going to need to run some commands from here. Sometimes you can't just be staring at the guide too much. It's sudo screen. Otherwise, you may get an error. I went ahead and rebooted and logged back in and everything. But let's ignore all of that and let's talk about when you run sudo screen after what we just did on the video, because I cut it up so it looks semi-decent. And this is what we're going to get. So I'm going to be in here. I'm going to press space. It's going to tell you just a little bit more of those capabilities. And then here we are in a detachable screen inside of this folder. So just follow along and do it, and it'll make sense as we get further in this tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this command, and I'm going to paste that command, which is going to initiate the daemon. So this is like syncing up your wallet, right? So you need your daemon to run. It's like when you're syncing the blockchain just with any of your wallets, and you'll see here we are starting at the bottom. Instead of transplanting a daemon info or blockchain info or anything like that, I'm just going to go ahead and let this sync up naturally, a little bit easier, and that's what I recommend you do. So now while this syncs up, we can leave it running and hit Control AD, so hold Control and hit AD, and that'll leave that running. If you logged in as root and not as your user, which if you're following along this tutorial you would have logged in as root so far, you'll have to run sudo screen on all these commands, otherwise you're going to get that error. So with sudo screen, it's going to show me the screens I have open, and just to practice going back into that screen, basically just, imagine like a tab. It's like going back into that tab. I'm going to go ahead, screw me, I can't even listen to myself. Sudo screen R1597, and this number is going to change for you, so it's going to be whatever number is relevant there. So I'm going to do that, and you can see I'm back in this screen, and we are just syncing right along. We're already up to 7,000 and hasn't moved, so it looks a little better if it's moving for us. There we go. So now I'm going to hold down Control and hit AD without lifting off Control, and here we are back here at the home screen. and we hit sudo screen ls, again, it's going to show us those screens that are open that we can always get right back into. It's a really good way to just have the server multitasking. So without further ado, now we're going to go ahead and move on to get/open a wallet. You do not have to run this wallet on the server, and you should not. Download the software and run it from elsewhere for security reasons. That's absolutely true. You should be running the CLI command line interface. But for this tutorial, just to keep it simple, we're going to break some rules and we're going to run on this server. So in order to do that, we're going to need to navigate to our folder from earlier, which in the guide is showing version 3. So don't copy and paste it if it's not the right version for you. You may just have to type it in. So I even almost typed it in wrong. But we're going to go to that version 4. So now I'm in that directory. Correction, make sure to run screen or sudo screen. So I can go ahead and copy this command just to make it a little quicker. I'll copy that, and this will start the wallet for us. So now you need to create a wallet name, and this is also a good time to grab like your super private notebook or whatever, wherever you keep all your private keys and stuff, because you're going to want to remember your wallet name, your wallet password, as well as your private keys or private seed. So go ahead and choose whatever wallet name you'd like. You picked your wallet name. You created a wallet password. You made sure that you remember your wallet name and you remember your wallet password. And then it gave you your 25-word seed. And you stored your seed in a safe place that cannot be accessed by anyone else. Good. Now you should be on this page without all these out of syncs below, and you'll still see your wallet seed right there. Obviously, just as good practice for any kind of streaming, I have removed that from the picture. Next, we need to get our primary address. So we can type address, and there's your primary address. Once you punch that address command, you'll get this address, put it in a notepad or something. You'll need it here in a little bit. Then we need to get to service node registration. So individual staking is a little easier because, well, it's just you. So I'm going to cover that briefly, but I'm also going to show you in this video tutorial how to do the pool staking, because it's more likely that you'll be taking place in pool staking simply because running a Loki service node, now that the price has rebounded pretty big, is pretty expensive. As far as running an individual node, it's pretty easy, and it's pretty much going to be what we do here for the pool staking, which I'm about to cover. Just with one less step, because you don't need anyone to get anyone else involved. So you need the daemon running, which I already showed you how to do, and you should have yours running as well. It's in the other screen, which we hit Control AD to get out of. And then we have the Loki wallet CLI, primary address with enough Loki in your wallet to meet the service node staking requirement. So for example, if you're using the wallet on your server, and if that is the case, then this is your primary address. Then if you needed 40,000 Loki, which if we go and check the screenshot, right now you need basically 40,000 Loki. You would need about 40,000, well, you need the exact amount here, but let's just say 40,000 Loki in that address, and then you would be able to run your service node. You don't want to mess up your service node once you get online, because in order to run this service node, you are locking your coins for 30 days. Even if your server goes offline, your coins will continue to be locked if your server stays offline for more than 2 hours. So pretty big deal here. So yeah, you'll need that amount. So if you have all that set up, you've got that Loki deposited in the correct address there, you'll want to wait until those funds are confirmed and safe and all set in your actual wallet, so there'll be an available balance, which again I'll show you here soon. You're going to hit Control AD to get out of your wallet. You're going to go to the screen that is your daemon, and then you're going to run the prepare registration command, and you'll get an output like this. But I'll show you this more as we go along. Right now, I'm going to show you how to do pool staking, because this is going to be a pool node setup. And please don't contact me about setting up any kind of pooled Loki nodes. That's not a service I offer. I don't plan to offer it. It's just not my thing. That's not what I want to do. I don't have the time for that. And that's why I actually partnered with the Mining Store Australian company on this for this video. Alright, well, that takes a couple hours to get synced up. So go ahead, have lunch, have dinner. Let's go ahead, get to bed, get up early next morning, finish up your service node. So when you finally have a completed daemon, which if you're wondering what that completed daemon looks like, it looks like this, it'll have the whole blockchain downloaded. You'll be able to enter in commands. It'll be obvious. It'll say your X days behind and what block height you're currently at. And you can see right now when I run status, it'll show me that I am at the correct 100% block height on mainnet, the net hash, what version we're on, and my uptime right there. So just to show you, to clarify what I've done, I'm going to click Control AD, and then I'm going to go into sudo screen -r1640, which is going to be my wallet. And as you can see in here, I can run my balance command and it'll show me my current balance. I need to have at a minimum 25% of the current staking requirement in my unlocked balance. So you can see that I have that here because the required staking quantity for Loki right now is about 40,000. So just to be safe, I had the fund, so I put 10,000 Loki in there. Now I'm going to go back into the daemon, which is under, for me, screen 1599. Again, all these numbers are going to change for you. And now, following along with the guide, I'm going to run prepare registration. And as you can see, I am not contributing the entire stake. That is the amount that we need. Then it'll ask what percentage of the total staking reward would the operator like to reserve as an operator fee. So this is where you can say, well, I'm splitting this node with you. However, I'm doing all of the work, so I'm going to take 60% of the earnings or 70% because you're not taking care of the node, or this dude owes you money, or whatever the case is. So just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and take 100%, and with that is going to be the minimum amount that I can currently stake. So I'll go ahead and just stake the 10,000 that I have. Just because that's a good easy number. So the current staking requirement just off the top is going to be 29,728 if I run this with one other contributor. Do you want to reserve portions of the stake for other specific contributors? So this is, I'm not looking for other people publicly to find this. I have this set up, so it's like you and your buddy know you're running a node together. You're going to say yes, you want to reserve it. There's going to be one additional contributor, and now I need the Loki address. This is why it's handy to have all of that relevant information just in a notepad, so I can go ahead and grab my Loki address to copy and paste here because I am the operator. So again, in this scenario where I just have one additional contributor who needs to pick up the slack for the remaining Loki, I'm going to take the remaining amount. Again, if you have more contributors, you could split this up into whatever would make more sense for you. But again, in this case, I'm going to take the remainder, which is what I copied, and I will paste. And now I need to enter the Loki address for the contributor. One key point I wanted to make, which is why it's useful to send the funds you'll need to your primary address if you're using a server-side address while the blockchain is syncing up, is because you need to wait about 20 minutes or 10 confirmations before the balance is going to be unlocked. It just makes your process a little more timely if you go ahead and send it while everything is still syncing up, because then you don't have to wait an additional 20 minutes once it's all synced up, because you'll probably be tired of waiting by the time it's synced up. Once you add the address for your contributor and click enter, it'll ask you to confirm that everything is correct. You'll obviously say yes or no, and then it'll give you an output saying register_service node and a bunch of text, including some addresses. Copy that into a notepad like it says in the guide, and then we'll be able to move forward. We're also going to print SN key. Once you click enter, it'll give you your service node public key. This is good to keep in that same notepad as well. So now I just hit Control AD to get out of the daemon. I'll type in sudo screen -ls as well as my password, and then I will type in sudo screen -r1640, which will take me into my wallet, and this is where I run the command, the prepare service node. So I'll go ahead and copy and paste that. I went ahead and ran the register service node command. As you can see, it prompted me for my wallet password. Naturally entered my wallet password. You can see transaction 1 of 1. It confirmed a staking amount from me because there's been a block or so found since I kind of went through all these calculations. The staking requirement is now down to 9,999.75, per the percentage I entered into the register command. So basically, again, it's dynamic. It's going to adjust as we go along. You can see the transaction, has been submitted, and now we're just going to be waiting for it to be included in a block before registration is complete. After we complete this task, you'll see that the full contributor must first receive the service node pub key and requirements, aka the amount of Loki he needs to send or really reserve. Because you can actually, what's really cool about these service nodes is you can keep the funds on your side when you do these pool nodes. So if me and you did a node together, which we're not going to do, but if we did, then you could keep your Loki in your wallet the entire time, so you're not worried about teaming up with someone and then they steal your funds, because obviously that sucks. So anyway, in order to do that, you'll go ahead and follow 6.2.2 pool contributor, where you're going to stake service node pub key, which again I showed you how to get that, print SN, and then the address and your contribution amount. And then once that's taken place, you'll go over and check your service node. So I'm going to go back over here to my terminal, hit Control AD, and I'm going to go sudo screen-r 1599, which is going to be my daemon. You can go back into your daemon and do print underscore SN underscore key to get your pub key, or you should have saved in some kind of little notepad. So once you get over to Loki blocks, you have your service node key. You'll be able to punch that in here and go directly to it. However, if you're waiting for contribution, you can also see that node will be sitting here in service nodes awaiting. But to get directly to your node, you can take your pub key and just punch it right here, and you will see that it has the original operator address I've been showing you the whole time, as well as the one contributor picking up the remainder of the amount. And it's really weird that it's showing operator cut 0% because you watched me put in 100%, so we'll see what happens with that. Alright, so I just hit Control AD to get out of that screen if you're wondering. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is let this run overnight, because at this point your service node is 100% set up and complete. I want to check out how this plays out and if the rewards come in at the 100% requested, or if there's some sort of bug or I did something wrong. But until then, I'm going to get some sleep. Yo, good morning. I'm back. Hey, so here's the good news, here's the bad news. Alright, so it's been about 12 hours since I shot the last piece of this video, and you can see that I received the last reward at height 132072 block height, and it still shows the operator cut of being 0%. So let me explain what happened, which is pretty unique because this is not what happened in the last service node I set up, as a staking 100% of the actual node, or simply put, just not having any other contributors other than myself with just one staking wallet. So just to recap, I went over here into terminal, logged back into my server, went back under my username, opened the screen that was associated with the wallet that has been running the entire time, and I ran the command balance. And so this was right after the reward was distributed, so it was not unlocked yet. Think of like an unconfirmed transaction. You're still waiting for additional confirmations. This is, about 30 minutes or so later, and you can see that I have a balance of 10,006 and an unlocked balance of about 7. And if you recall, I sent a little bit over 10,000 coins to the service node. So if you run these numbers against what the projected earnings for service nodes are, you will see that I earned about 25% of the block reward for a service node, even though I had input 100% when I was setting up this service node. And what was really weird is, as you saw earlier, the operator cut came out at 0%. And just to, reflash this clip, you can see right here I am entering 100%. And I've actually reached out to the Loki team, and they're saying that this is possibly a very rare bug or glitch, and they're going to look into it further. And with everything, nothing's perfect. All projects are going to have some bugs, glitches, issues, and this isn't something I experienced before. Like I just said, so it's pretty peculiar. obviously I'd like to think that they'll be able to, quickly administer a fix. Alright, so this is what most of my day-to-day stuff looks like at Voskcoin. But I do want to say that I have confirmation from the Loki team that this was, I was fortunately, lucky me, right, the first one to hit this bug. So it has been identified as a bug by their team, and I'm assuming they're going to get that fixed as soon as possible if they have not already. But again, lucky me, right? First one to hit a bug. I do think it was weird that even though it says the operator cut is 0%, it defaulted to what I feel like would be like a default. Defaulted to a default. That's nice, Vosk. But, so, I've got about 25% of the stake, and the other address has about 75% of the stake, so that is how the node is divvying up the rewards. Either way, this is a full in-depth tutorial guide on how to set up a service node, and just showing you here step by step how I've done it and going over how you can do it individually, which is easier and recommended if possible, or if you need to enter a pool setup, this is how you do that as well. And again, I've reached out to the team to get some feedback on what's going on with this bug. If I go ahead and upload this video and don't change anything, then we're gonna be good to go. And if I don't, then well, I wouldn't be uploading it, so then you wouldn't be watching it. So that means that I have to make some fixes. Just one more piece I do want to show you is if I go over here to the Loki Blockchain Explorer, and if you recall, it was 288 service nodes, and it was actually 289 about an hour ago. So I guess somebody fell offline. So hey, good news, right? The rewards are actually going to be exactly on par with the screenshot I showed you then for this. But above all, I hope this tutorial was helpful and useful for you. And even though I ran into that bug and glitch, and it's not perfect, I'm no Linux guru here. It is going to be a good walkthrough guide to help you out, and hope that I just explained on simple terms, because I'm still on a low level here. So I think about all these little small pieces that some more people advanced with Linux don't think about anymore. It just becomes habits, like, oh, of course you do that, or of course it's like that. Whereas when you have no background in this, it's like, what? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to smash the thumbs up on the video, hit subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching. I just wanna be with you. Yeah, I just wanna be with you. I just wanna